Welcome to another exciting edition of Coffee and Bonsai with Tom. Today, we're working on what I call my river jade because it sort of looks to me like a tree you'd see, next to a river. It's got multiple trunks, maybe a cypress, something that's kind of in a swamp like area. That's what this tree says to me. A little backstory on this tree as we take a look at it. Well, it had a bit of a rough spring. I had been on vacation and this thing had gotten overwatered and it wasn't doing that well. So then I pulled it out of its pot and took a look at it and decided, well, it was okay. But, in the end and looking at it further, I think it did have some early stages of root rot. The leaves were very kind of wilted. It wasn't getting enough water. And as I was reviewing the last video I did on this, I can see the roots that were at the bottom of the pot really have this kind of nasty looking gray color. And, the tree was quite dried out when I worked on it. So I think I didn't really pick up on it. But I'm pretty sure that there was an issue with this tree. But it's been about 3 weeks and wow, it is completely recovered and is just flourishing now. So it is time for a prune. So let's get started here. I think I want to start. You can see this area, this left side. It just hangs down too low, and I think, I'm just going to take it off. I've been working with that for a while now, and I think, yeah, I think that's better. And I still need to do more thinning out here. This tree is interesting. It has a very interesting growth pattern. I'm just going to thin this out and kind of shorten it up, try to get it more compact and less heavy looking. Looks like sort of a sack of leaves hanging down there on the left hand side, but it's an interesting growth pattern. You'll see as we go. I'm just going to shorten up the long stuff and try to get it under control and really just thin out these branches. And I'm going to start on this left branch. Sometimes I find it easy to just pick up the branch and sort of shorten it up. But this tree has an interesting growth pattern where the branches kind of come out straight horizontal and then they kind of start bending down due to either the weight of the leaves out there or that's just its natural growth habit. And so it's kind of interesting. And I'm just pruning this up as I chat here, thin it out. I'll try to create some levels and clouds so we can see the different levels on the tree. Yeah, so I've been trying to work with this horizontal growth habit, and you'll see more of it as we simplify the branches and reduce the foliage. I kind of want to take this back too to give that kind of a cleaner look and really get in here and kind of clear out a lot of these leaves so we can let light in and open it up so it'll grow in the direction we want it to. But yeah, you'll see this horizontal growth habit more clearly as we go on pruning. And like I said, so far I'm working with it. And we'll sort of see how it goes. I think that's what the tree wants to do. I don't really want to wire it. And, a year ago, I guess maybe a year and a half ago, this tree was literally I had dramatically cut it back and it was just the primary stumps and, all this stuff is new and it's still pretty thin. So we'll see as it thickens up and takes on more character, kind of where we go with it. But for today, I just want to clean it up, thin it out. The goal is really to get the tree back to its basics and its core structure, and then just let it grow out here for the summer. So I think that's looking pretty good. I've kind of thinned this out a bit, and I really try to go for these these layers. And this tree has about 4 of them as you come down the tree. These horizontal layers, which you'll see more clearly, as I said before, as we thin it out. But it really grows super densely, and so I am just taking that back. You know, always the standard pruning techniques of, you know, anything growing in, or if it's growing down, I take it off. We'll apply the same thing over here on the right as we get to it. I'm trying to decide if that looks good enough. I think maybe take a few more leaves out here to, you know, just kind of simplify it. Yeah, so I think we're kind of finishing up this branch anyway. It was quite a problem. I mean, it was really hanging low and just kind of a mess. So I think this has been great, and I'll kind of start looking at some other parts of the tree here, and you know, we'll always come back to it when, in the end. This is kind of poking right out at me, and I want to thin some of this out so I can see the trunk. And you know, I probably should have take off the long stuff, the stuff hanging down, stuff poking in. You know, just thin it out, create some space. I'm really just applying these same principles. I really should have pruned this earlier, but as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it really had a, yeah, this is just almost as bad and thick as it was on the left-hand side, so I'm really going to reduce this. But I do kind of want to keep this right branch lower, you know, so it'll sort of, this will be the primary branch of the tree, the initial heavy branch. But yeah, I should have pruned this earlier, but you know, I had the overwatering situation, and then it took it, I don't know, 3 weeks, maybe closer to a month to really recover from that to the point where I was really confident in what it's doing. I'm just thinning this out, kind of, you know, I like to pick up the branch and really kind of look down it and take the bottom growth off, and then create some space between branches so that they're not just kind of growing into one another. I want to be able to look at the branch and see some of its structure. So those are sort of my guiding principles as I'm pruning away here. And I think I'm going to do a video on that recovery process. I think I have enough pictures of, you know, what the tree looked like, that caused me to be concerned about overwatering, and then, you know, I kind of did a repot, and then I waited a while, and, you know, several trees were affected by this. So I think I'll be able to, you know, put together a pretty good video of different recovery processes as well. So kind of look for that. But I'm moving up the tree here and just kind of getting the low hanging fruit, and anything that kind of grabs my eye is just looking too thick, or it's sticking up too far, or down too low, or just kind of crowding out its neighbors. So I really want to create some space so we can sort of see all the intricacy here. Yeah, I know sometimes it seems like I'm taking a lot off, but you know, as I mentioned, this particular tree I haven't pruned in a while, so you gotta sort of give it the weed whacker treatment and really kind of take it back, especially if you do it that way. But I think you can see already we're kind of getting some layers to the tree and kind of opening it up a bit. And you know, one thing I want to mention about this tree, I really like the trunk. You know, it's got this interesting trunk, you know, and you can sort of see it. I think it looks good from all angles. Here you can see the back, you know, where you can really see the, should count these. I mean, I've been calling it a triple trunk. Maybe it's just two trunks. The one trunk could be a branch. It's kind of close to the base, so I'm not really sure how we want to count it. I don't really care, but I definitely like the, don't care about the categorization, but I definitely like the, you know, the base on this tree. And so, you know, a lot of ways what I think, especially when you're developing a tree like this, I mean, these are some fine branches on the top, and probably I want the tree to not be a much different size than it is now. So that really means you have to keep at the pruning, because if you let it take off too far, it gets kind of overly coarse, and then you got to work your way back, which isn't such a big deal with the Portulacaria. But all that to say is, I'm expecting to grow this tree for a while. And now I'm really kind of going at the top here a bit. It's quite shaggy. And you can see here's one of the potential design issues I have with the tree. You can really see that horizontal growth, at the top as I kind of thin this out. And I may end up just eventually just cutting the whole top of this tree off and regrowing it, because I haven't been too happy with it. It's just, I feel like it's I'm still playing with it, like sometimes, I can have some branches come forward and, for the lack of a better term, sort of hide what's going on at the top of the tree. But I'm not sure I want to do that. I'm doing it for now because I just want to grow the tree out. This really needs to be thinned out. This is the cut the leaves off the bottom trick to create some space, because those branches are just going to go straight down anyway, so they're not any help. So you may as well take them off. But we'll see. I mean, the good part is these Portulacarias are very, they kind of grow all over, but the top really grows. So it's fairly easy to cut the top off and regrow it even in one season. So, I always have that option there. For now, I kind of want to thicken up and get the trunks kind of established before I worry too much about that. And you can see it's just quite thick. And I mean, look at how horizontal that is. It's two branches coming off a third, and it practically looks like a straight line. So it's kind of a good example of how this particular tree just really, really likes to grow. So this top is really quite thick. And I really just need to get in there and, remove downward facing leaves and stuff that's growing the inside. And there is just a lot in here. It's so compact. I have these under pretty strong indoor grow lights, and the trees are close to it, and so they really respond well to that and just get really super compact growth. So I'm going to work away on this, and we'll do a time lapse here, and I will just sort of cut to as I'm finishing off the top of the tree, because sometimes this just takes a while, and I've already described the principles I use to do that pruning. So I'm just finishing off the top here. You can see I thinned it out a fair amount. Still looks like I have more and more to go, but we'll kind of get there on the final pruning. But yeah, you can really see those horizontal branches there, and I'm just kind of punting for now, and we'll come back to it. So I think we're getting close. I kind of want to spin around and just sort of stuff that grabs my eye in a negative way, I just kind of cut it out. We've taken a fair amount off of this, and I think we've cleared it up quite a bit, but there's always more to do. Let me adjust the camera in here slightly. But at least we can see the structure. I kind of not liking this top. Yeah, that's a bit better. And I think I can thin it out a little more. Yeah, so as I'm finishing up, I kind of step back, take a look at the tree, do some fine tuning, and at least get it to a point where you're happy to just let it grow until the next round of pruning. But at least, we've definitely thinned it out to the point where I can see some of the layers of the tree. Cut that off? No, I think I'll wait. I was just joking about cutting the top of it off, which I really think I'm going to end up doing at some point, but not today. So yeah, that can be thinned out a bit. And this is still quite thick. And it's always a good opportunity to kind of take a step back and look at what you've really done, because it's easy to get lost in the weeds, and it really helps to to take that view. So I think I think I want to thin this out a bit. You know, maybe the back is still a little too thick. So let me just thin out some more of these leaves back here. You know, just do some fine tuning and see what it looks like. Sometimes it's really tough, you know, to get in here. You really need some sharp scissors, because some of this stuff is pretty fine to work with. And yeah, lose that. I think that's a bit better. You can see the two trunks there from this side, and kind of the third one is directly behind the main trunk. At least what I've been calling the third trunk. Kind of tune that up a bit. Yeah, I think we're getting pretty close. Just, you know, it's the endless march to get rid of those downward facing leaves. Yeah, get that one out of there. Maybe thin the top out just a bit more, let a bit more light in. Yeah, so I think we've done a pretty good job here. You know, as I said, the top I'm not completely happy with, but I think I'm just going to let it grow a little wild, and on the next pruning we'll make some decisions there, because you can still actually healing up the top where I chopped it off, and growth helps that process to happen. So I just want to take a little bit off the back here from the side view, thin it out, and I think that is going to be it for the pruning on this guy for a while. And I'm looking forward, you know, I'll be moving these trees outside soon, and boy, they really just love it out there. And you know, the leaves get thick and fat and full of water, and it's just a fabulous time. Yeah, I think that looks pretty darn good. So let me get my tweezers here and we'll clean it up. And I think a parting thought today is, you know, the morality or the ethicalness of bonsai. You know, I have some friends that, I mean, I don't usually wire, so, you know, I could see wire as being seen as torturous, but they're like, you know, the small pots and the constant pruning. And I always say, are you kidding me? Like, these trees haven't made. I mean, we wait on these things hand and foot. We feed and water them daily, you know, watch them for insects. Like, you know, they have a fabulous life in a gilded cage practically. So, you know, I sort of feel that, you know, these trees do have it made, and they don't have to deal with the ravages of kind of being on their own. So that's my feeling on is bonsai ethical or is it moral? You know, I sort of feel like we try to elevate these you know, these wonderful trees to something that is art, and we invest huge amounts of time and develop a partnership and a relationship with these trees, and you know, it brings us closer to nature. And I think we learn a lot about keeping things alive, caring for things, and we learn about a lot about ourselves. So you know, it's very humanitarian process, I feel, and very, very natural. So maybe one more clip here, and then I think we will do the victory lap with this tree. I'm having a little trouble getting this off. There we go. It was just one tough leaf. So yeah, let's get this guy on the turntable, and we'll take a final look at our final product. So I think it looks great. Here we go. Give it a slow spin. You can see how it looks from the side. You know, from the back, you can clearly see we've got some clouds and layers here now. Look at it from this side as well. And a nice trunk, and back to, you can see that third trunk there that hides, and back to the front. Well, that's a wrap. I want to thank you for spending time with me, and I look forward to seeing you all again very soon.